Hey guys, welcome into Fantasy Football Academy 2020. As always, I'm your host, the Dean, and to say that my level of excitement after Monday night's game was through the roof. I'm surprised wherever you're listening, you didn't hear me yell, "We beat the Steelers." Can you believe it? I know we talk fantasy football here, but I'm going to give you a dose of reality real quick. My Washington, formerly known as the Redskins team, beat the only undefeated team left in the league. Now, I've heard some analysts say, well, they've always been kind of suspect through their look at their schedule. They really haven't played anybody. They really haven't faced any really good defenses. They still got beat. They were still undefeated. Give us our props, guys. Come on. Our defense is legit. Okay. So enough about that. Unfortunately, during that contest, we did lose a very valuable fantasy player in Antonio Gibson, out with a toe injury. He left kind of early. So anyone who did start Antonio Gibson, sorry for your loss. But moving forward, I'm going to give you guys a couple of guys to keep in mind. We're going to look through the waiver wires together here. Look, this time of year in fantasy football is really, really hard for waiver wire pickups. Why? Because anybody who is currently holding a whole bunch of players, if they're out of the playoffs, they're not active. They've given up. There's no sense in them playing. So they don't make any transactions. What makes it harder on the rest of us who've actually made the playoffs, like myself. Shout out to Dalton. Dalton getting that 6th spot in our league of record. And we will show you what our fantasy playoffs look like here. And we're also going to give you a dose of reality here. We're big doses of reality this go around. And this is going to be reality versus fantasy. What we have to consider at this time of year is that there are going to be some teams like the Raiders, like the Steelers, like the Chiefs, who have one loss, who might be able to have such a large gap that lock up their playoff position way ahead of schedule. They might lock it up this week. They might lock it up next week, which means that for your fantasy championship going into week 16 could be drastically affected. That's why this week is so important to lock down your backups. Okay. If you've got Mahomes, you need to have a backup who has a legit reason to compete, whether they're trying to better their playoff position, whether they're trying to get into the playoffs, either one of those things. So guys like Baker Mayfield, okay, Mayfield is probably still on your waiver wire. And after this performance that he just threw up, I'm telling you right now, he is my number one waiver wire pickup for the week at quarterback. Him along with Phillip Rivers and Matthew Stafford. If these guys are not rostered in your playoff lineups already, you need to get them in your roster. Who knows what's going to happen these next couple of weeks? We've seen COVID strike. Anybody who had Lamar Jackson was thanking God that he got cleared to play against Dallas. There's going to be some soft schedules. There's going to be some tough schedules. There's going to be some of those calls that you're going to have to look at and go, I don't know if I want to trust my starter in this matchup. It's really tough. And this guy's, I don't know if you can see it up there, but do or die. This is that time of year. Before, during the regular season, we could look ahead. We could plan for the future. Guys, this is the future. Time's up. You're in the playoffs. This is where it all gets real. Okay. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to try to shape up your lineup. And speaking of shaping up, our sponsor today, Cajun Fitness in Rain, Louisiana. Guys, if you are in the Lafayette area, if you're in South Louisiana, go check out Cajun Fitness online. You can go look at their facilities, find out which one is closer to you. There's even one in Baton Rouge. So in the Lafayette area, there's Opelousas, there's Rain, there's Eunice. Uh, I believe there's even Karen Grove. I'm not there, Crowley. But check them out online. You can go to CajunFitness.com and check them out. You can check them out on Facebook. Uh, go give them a shout out. Tell them the Dean sent you. And even especially if you're in the Rain, my gym is the Rain, Louisiana gym. Uh, Wonderful facility. The people are fantastic. The staff is just phenomenal and very helpful. So if you've got questions about nutrition, about what to eat, what not to eat, what supplements to take, they will be more than happy to help you out down there. So make sure you check them out. It's Cajun Fitness. All right, guys. And we are here to shape up your playoff lineup. So let's check it out real quick. This is the real NFL playoff schedule as it stands right now. So we see KC still has something to play for, even though they're 11-1, with my boys taking care of Pittsburgh. There is that hope that KC can snag that number 1 spot. So they are going to be playing. Sorry, voice is cracking. They are going to, I was doing a lot of yelling, guys. Trust me, I was even shouting last night at work. It was crazy. I actually got to work with a Dallas fan, and of course, Dallas got whooped up on last night by Baltimore. So, Lamar, thank you very much. I appreciate you. 1 second, guys. One notification here. Okay, sorry guys, got a request from the missus, so family takes precedent. But yeah, so teams like that, there's no coasting in this one. And we see the top seed New Orleans trying to hold on to that top seed. We see Green Bay on their heels. So Green Bay is going to be shooting for that top seed, hopefully trying to get home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. The AFC also up for grabs for home field advantage between KC and Pittsburgh. There's really not anyone that I'm seeing that has really distanced themselves. So they're going to have to keep playing. So what you want to look at in this scenario, and this year differs from other years. Other years, there was this big gap. We had teams like New Orleans that was locking up home field advantage in week 15, which means that they were sitting guys, they were resting them, getting them ready for the playoffs. Guys like Kamara and Michael Thomas and Drew Brees, Jared Cook, all those star offensive players that you've been relying on all year are getting sat when you need them the most. So when you have teams like San Fran, Jacksonville, Houston, Denver, there's Jerry Jeudy, there's Tim Patrick. These guys might not be available in Houston. Deshaun, who knows how much longer they're going to be throwing Deshaun out there in meaningless games. Then you have Matt Ryan in Atlanta with Julio. I mean, they just might shut Julio down for the rest of the year here in the next week or so. Calvin Ridley. might be disappearing. Not in Detroit. You have Matt Stafford who's been dinged up. Uh, Marvin Jones, you might have started to rely on. Chicago is kind of a strange situation because there's really the backup quarterback situation. You really don't have anything, so they're going to be seeing what they want to get out of Mitch Trubisky. In Dallas, they've been through their backups. Andy Dalton might be playing for his job next year, or might just trying to be auditioning for a gig in the off season. We don't know. Cincinnati, their quarterback situation, they're trying to see what they have behind Joe Burrow. But are they going to be rolling out their big name receivers to get hurt? So guys like Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, those guys might be sat down as well. So these are all things that you need to be paying attention to moving forward into the fantasy playoffs, because when it comes down to the fantasy playoffs versus the preparation for the real NFL playoffs, they don't always coincide. So you guys need to pay attention to that, okay? So it is time for the start sits for week 14 playoff edition. You guys ready? All right. So we're going to start, as always, at quarterback. Look, Phillip Rivers has been legit past couple of weeks, okay? He and T.Y. Hilton finally made a connection that I was calling during draft season. I was hoping that this connection was going to be a season-long love affair. It just so happens that this is a late season romance that is blooming in the NFL, and we're watching it unfold. Thankfully, T.Y., who has absolutely historically owned the Houston Texans, gets them not only last week, he gets Vegas this week, and then again he gets Houston. So I would roll out Phillip Rivers. He's playing Vegas, who is an absolutely horrid defense, okay? Let me just give you guys a rundown real quick. Let's see. I got to scroll way down here to find the Raiders. So here we go. Raiders are the 29th ranked defense in fantasy. So, with that being said, please, if you have a Colt on your roster, roll them out with all confidence. We're talking T.Y. Hilton. We're talking even Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we saw what he did against Houston. He actually got involved this time. Now, Nyheim Hines, I myself have Nyheim Hines. Thankfully, I have other options to pivot to that are a little more reliable. With the Raiders, we don't really know which way they're going to go. But T.Y. is definitely in play this week. Phillip Rivers, definitely in play this week. Next up, Matt Stafford. And you might be thinking, why do I want to roll out Matt Stafford? Well, here's the thing. I've told you guys before, and if you've listened to me since the beginning, and by the way, if you're here for the first time, welcome. Appreciate your love. Down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share for me. We tried to get to 40 subscribers. We finally got that a couple episodes ago. So thank you guys. I appreciate the love. So our next goal is 80 for next year. But I'm going to be doing shows in between during the off season, try to get you guys ready. And anything that's going to be brought up fantasy wise, I will try to keep you guys aware of things to look for. Remember, fantasy football, like the NFL, is and can be a year-round event. So welcome to my hobby. This is a hobby for me. I do have a real job outside of this. However, I would love for you guys to help me get to the point to where this is a full-time gig, and I can give you guys even better advice than I've given you over this past year. My first inaugural year. I want you guys to tell me how I've done so far. Down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share, and leave comments, please. I love to read the comments, and you can find me on Twitter at FantasyDean20. That's at FantasyDean20 on Twitter. Hit me up with any questions you have about your fantasy roster or just football in general. But yeah, so Matt Stafford versus Green Bay. Why am I bringing this up? Because the Lions' defense is absolutely atrocious. What does that mean? That means that Green Bay is going to be running up the score, and the Lions are going to have to throw the ball, which means more production for Matt Stafford. That means more production for Marvin Jones, more production for TJ Hawkinson, the tight end. We don't have Kenny G. We haven't heard anything about an update from that hip injury. The way it looks and the way that the record is, he's probably shut down for the season. So if you are currently rostering Kenny Golladay, you might want to consider dropping him to pick up someone better. Okay. But yeah, Stafford's going to have to chuck the ball. He loves it. With the firing of Matt Patricia in Detroit, we see that they opened it up a little bit. He threw a lot more last week. I believe it was 402 yards, if I'm not mistaken, that he finally had. One of those just blow up outstanding games. So this is one of the cases where even though the record is really bad, they might be trying to see what they have in this new head coach and letting them play with all the toys that the starters would be out there for and totally accessible for this interim head coach to see what they can do down the stretch in preparation for next year. Now, we got two teams coming off a bye. We got Carolina and Tampa Bay, so please don't forget your players, okay? Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy B gets to come back against the Broncos. What better welcome back can you get than not only do you get a Broncos defense that's struggling, you also get Christian McCaffrey back. So if those Christian McCaffrey owners are out there, please make sure that you are monitoring his health situation. Find out when he's getting reactivated or if he is getting reactivated. If he is not, if for some reason they decide to shut McCaffrey down for the season, which would be a devastating blow for all of those owners who have held on so long for Christian McCaffrey, Mike Davis should be rostered and held on to throughout the playoffs because we never know what's going to hit, whether it be injury or COVID or what have you. Somebody could get tested positive. He could be considered a close contact and have to be restricted. We saw last night with Des Bryant, they pulled him off the field because he tested positive right before kickoff and was unable to play his former team, the Cowgirls. And everyone knows that I would have loved to have seen that, but it did not come to fruition. Sad to say, but I love the result. So anyway, in mentioning the Ravens, they're going to lead off my sit list. Yes, I'm setting Lamar Jackson this week. I know I loved Lamar Jackson against Dallas, but I do not like this matchup against Cleveland. This is going to be a smash mouth, old school defensive battle. So that's why Baker Mayfield did not make the list for starts. However, if you remember my last episode, he is a stash. So you should definitely be stashing Baker Mayfield because he has got a dream matchup coming up with both New York teams for weeks 15 and 16. So if you have the room and you have the ability to stash him, remember, just like at Cajun Fitness, when you shed the pounds, here we are shedding our roster down to the bare minimum. We're making it nice and tight and toned. So make sure that you are shedding away any of those non-essential roster spots so that you can go stash guys like Corey Davis, Baker Mayfield, okay? Guys who are coming up and making an impact that can help you get to the championship, all right? This next guy, you might have been leaning on him a little bit past couple of weeks if you were streaming a quarterback. Talking about my boy, Captain Kirk Cousins. Cousins gets Tampa off a bye. Now, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for Kirk Cousins. You think they're going to be ready? Yeah. Plus, they're in a playoff hunt. You know they want to get Tampa to the playoffs so that Tom Brady can prove that it was him and not Belichick that did all those playoff runs in New England. But then you have New England trying to make a playoff run of their own so that Belichick can prove that it was him and not Brady, that he could do it with Cam Newton. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have Tom, and that takes a lot for me to say. So, anyway, but yes, Kirk Cousins, appreciate what you've done for the fantasy community so far, but it's time to shut down. It's time to go ahead and just retire him from fantasy football at this time. Why? Because his next few matchups are going to be rough ones. Just look at his remaining schedule. We're not going to get into it right now, but he might pop up again on the sit list for next week. Also, Jared Goff. I know Jared Goff absolutely lit up last week. So why am I sitting him this week? Because they got the Thursday night game. That's right. Jared Goff and the Rams get Cam Newton and the Patriots on a short week. So I'm not really that comfortable telling you to go ahead and roll Jared Goff out. Plus the fact that it looks like they found the lead back in LA. So it looks like Cam Akers, they're trying to see what they have in this rookie. I called him for rookie of the year. I thought it was going to be a little better. Injury kind of prevented that. Plus the fact that they kept flip-flopping between him and Henderson and whoever else they would have in the backfield. Malcolm Brown was getting in there. Everybody. I think I was the only one that didn't run for the Rams this year or San Francisco. So basically, if you were in California and you were a running back, you got to play. But yeah, Jared Goff, I'm not really comfortable rolling him out against the Pats, especially considering what they just did to my boy Justin Herbert. I know it's a rookie quarterback, and I know Jared's not a rookie, but Jared's had way too many ups and downs for me to rely on him for a fantasy playoff win. I would much rather roll with Phillip Rivers, Teddy B, Matt Stafford, any of those guys. I might even take a shot on Kirk Cousins than going up against Jared Goff and going up against the Pats. So, again, my opinion, if you guys want to trust your gut and you guys want to go roll with Jared Goff, if you got that stack of Goff and Woods or Goff and Kupp or Goff and Higbee, go for it. But I'm going to warn you ahead of time, you're not going to like my tight end set for this one. Running backs. Let's get into running backs. My boy in my other league, David Montgomery, finally coming through. He burned me in League of Record. However, he catapulted me to number 2 in the listener league with 103.7 The Game and Under the Dome, playing with Clint Dome. So, shout out to my boys at the Game, 103.7 here in Lafayette. So, but yeah, David Montgomery had an absolute killer week. He gets Houston this week. Houston's defense is not good. Okay, they haven't shown that spark. JJ is probably the only bright spot, and he can't tackle everyone. So roll David Montgomery out there with all confidence in that one. Ronald Jones comes off a bye, and like we mentioned earlier with Cousins, gets Minnesota. Minnesota's rushing defense is absolutely atrocious. So Ronald Jones should have a very good week coming up. Also, James Conner, and this one comes with a disclaimer. I gave a disclaimer last week. This week, and my disclaimer last week was with Fitzpatrick. If Fitzpatrick played, you needed to play him. If Fitzpatrick played, you needed to roll out Devontae Parker. I told you I would sit Devontae Parker if it was Tua, and you saw the reason why, because apparently Tua's boy is Mike Gesicki. Fitz's boy is Devontae Parker. So James Conner, we saw the run game against Washington do absolutely nothing this past Monday. So going into Buffalo, who is not the Buffalo of old, they're going to need a run game. They can't have Big Ben throwing it 50-plus times a game and actually expect to make a deep playoff run. He ain't getting any younger, and that shoulder's going to be starting to give him problems as it gets further into the season. Okay, we're starting to get in that cold snap and up in Pittsburgh. If they're going to be playing Pittsburgh, Buffalo, guys like that, and they're going into the playoffs with a home field in December in Pittsburgh or in January in Pittsburgh, it's going to be cold. They're going to need to rely on the run. So they're going to need to get James Conner involved. We need to see when he's going to be activated from the COVID list. So keep an eye on that. If he is activated off the COVID list, you need to get him into your lineup because Buffalo just is not good. So my bonus running back, since I gave you an asterisk, is going to be Adrian Peterson. Look, if I'm not mistaken, he's had 33 carries in the last 2 games. I think he's had like 3 or 4 touchdowns in those games collectively, not each. That would be awesome. I would love that. But he's going up against Green Bay, and you can definitely run on you. It's hard to pass on Green Bay, but you can definitely run on Green Bay. So, like I say with Matt Stafford, going into Green Bay, they're going to have to score a lot of points. AP is going to have to get involved in the passing game. He's going to be involved in. He's going to be the only guy in the run game. So he is the lead back right now with Swift out. Now, if Swift plays, you need to play Swift, but you need to keep an eye on it because we're not really sure what's going on with Swift. First, it was he was dealing with a concussion, and then he came out of concussion, and he was dealing with an illness. There was talk that he just didn't look right. So AP stepped in, and Adrian Peterson is doing absolutely awesome. So last week, I think he got 17 points, but it was on Chris's bench. Sorry, Chris. If you had to put him in, you would have won. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to sets on running backs. Miles Sanders versus the Saints. And look, it's an absolute dumpster fire in Philly. You guys are not going to want to have any part of this. Jalen Hurts is coming in, and it's going to be against the Saints. This is going to be ugly. Okay? Capital UGLY. And they ain't going to have no alibi. Okay? They just ugly. Philly is just an ugly team right now. Miles Sanders is the only pretty spot on this team, and you cannot trust him against the Saints defense, okay? Another guy that I would not trust after seeing what Washington did to the entire backfield of Pittsburgh and pretty much anybody else that they face this year. Raheem Mostert is going up against that Washington front 7 who has 5 first-round draft picks on it. You're not going to want to go up against Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat. You're not going to want to hit these guys, okay? Jonathan, I can't remember his last name. Jonathan Allen. I'm sorry. Jonathan Allen out of Alabama that was first-round pick. You're not going to want to go up against these guys. So, Raheem Mostert, maybe bring down your expectations a little bit, okay? If you want to roll with him, I understand. I have him myself, but thankfully, again, I have other options I can turn to. Also, another guy that I have in my other league, is Kareem Hunt. I'm also sitting Kareem Hunt against Baltimore, but I would start Nick Chubb. Like I said, this is going to be an old school smash mouth That's why I'm not trusting Baker Mayfield. I'm going to trust the run game because that's what they're going to do. They're just going to pound, 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 pound. So that's what I see happening. I don't see Kareem Hunt getting a whole lot of work. I wouldn't be surprised if he popped off a run or two, but I'm trying to give you guys some good, safe bets here in the first week of the playoffs to get you through to the second week. That's the goal. The goal is to play next week. If you don't make the right decisions now, you're not going to be able to play next week. Sorry, it's just how it works. So, number one on my wide receiver list, I've mentioned before, T.Y. Hilton going up against Vegas. We know that Vegas is absolutely horrid in defense, and you can throw all over the place on these guys. Just ask the Jets. I know the Jets actually had a decent fantasy week for their wide receivers. It was the defense of the Jets that blew the game, and only the Jets can snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. So, Allen Robinson going up against Houston. I love this matchup. I loved Allen Robinson in draft season. I wanted to get him on the team. Unfortunately, my wife went ahead and drafted him, and then we were able to trade him when he was kind of falling off there about first part of the season. This late resurgence, I'm good with it, missing out on it. But definitely, if you have Allen Robinson on your squad, you want to roll him out against a bad Houston defense. Last guy on my wide receivers start list, Corey Davis. If he is on your waiver wire, he needs to be on your roster. Okay. He's going up against the Jags, and the rest of their season isn't that bad. So they do have something to play for. They have playoff aspirations. So, with that said, please go roster Corey Davis, okay? Because not only is he a wide receiver, he also doubles as running back because they get him involved in the run game a lot. Anytime they want to try to get Derrick Henry a little breather, Corey Davis can line up, jet sweeps, end rounds. That is Corey Davis, okay? When it's not being thrown to A.J. Brown, it's being dumped to Corey Davis. Now, this next guy, some of you might disagree with me, but I'm telling you right now, Stephon Diggs versus Pittsburgh. I saw them shut down Scary Terry, and I know that the quarterback play is not the same and that Josh Allen can light these boys up. But I just got a feeling. And here at the Academy, we preach trust your gut. This is my gut talking that Stephon Diggs is going to have an off game, okay? Also, any wide receiver from Minnesota, I'm talking Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, going up against Tampa Bay. I just don't think it's going to look pretty. I think this might turn into a Dalvin Cook day. So we'll see how that rolls out. Jarvis Landry going against Baltimore. As I said before, I'm not big on this Baltimore matchup unless you're a running back. So I think that Jarvis Landry, even though he had an outstanding week last week, I think this week against Baltimore, we have to deal with it here and now. We can't deal with last week or a few weeks ago or whatever, or even expectations. You got to deal with reality. And the reality is that Baltimore's going to be playing for something. They're going to be trying to hold in the playoffs and get in there. So I don't think Jarvis Landry is going to go off like you expect him to. He might be serviceable, but if you have a better option, go for it. Tight end, we're talking, hey, here's the asterisk. Mike Gesicki going against KC if Tua plays. And I know KC's defense, yeah, okay, but that's going to be down the field, okay? Right off of the in the flat, dumping it to the tight end. I think that might be the only opportunity that Tua has for a pass. I don't see Devontae Parker being a big part of this game. Next guy up, Logan Thomas going against San Fran. We saw Logan Thomas last week again, or a couple of days ago, actually, against Pittsburgh. Had a good, outstanding performance against them. San Fran, very similar, good defense, but I think they can be beat at the tight end position. And speaking of being beat at the tight end position, Noah Fant going up against Carolina. And look, this isn't so much of an endorsement for Carolina's defense as it is a knock against Drew Lock. Okay, so we're knocking against Lock. I don't trust him. It's going to be kind of hard to get the ball to your tight end when you're on your back or when you're running around for your life. He'll probably have better options downfield. And it seems like he's honed in on Tim Patrick. So if you have Tim Patrick and you need a desperation play at wide receiver, Tim Patrick might be a guy to look at. But Carolina's defense, I think they can go ahead and disrupt this front line and knock Lock around a little bit. Next guy, and I warned you guys ahead of time that you're probably not going to like this if you didn't like my Jared Goff take. Tyler Higbee, set him against the Pats, pivot to somebody else. As far as defenses go, now look, last week on Start Sets, I had my defenses flip-flopped. Sorry about that. And I'm throwing out another one, and I'm crossing my fingers that they can actually pull through because they're playing the Jets, and that's Seattle. I think that Seattle's defense can actually get – I'm hoping that Jamal Adams can get into this game like he has been and disrupt Sam Darnold and the Jets. So that's what I'm looking for. They don't have Frank Gore. They might not have Frank Gore because he's going through concussion protocol, but monitor that situation. Then again, you have Washington against San Fran. I love Washington's defense. I don't have to tell you guys, yes, this is a personal, heartfelt homer pick, but they're going up against Nick Mullins. I got a buddy of mine, you guys know him, Professor Chet, die-hard Niners fan, and he will even probably tell you that he's worried about this matchup. As far as my sits for defense, take a deep breath because I'm going to throw somebody out here who's actually in the number 2 defense in fantasy right now. You've probably been riding them hard and heavy for the past few weeks. The Miami Dolphins going up against KC. I mean, do you really see Pat Mahomes turning the ball over that much? And do you really see him not lighting these boys up? Come on. They're not in the AFC East right now. They're not playing a division game. This isn't the Jets. This isn't the Bills. This isn't the Pats. So you're going up against the second best team in football, probably the best, most well-rounded team in football, and you expect to do well? I don't think so. So I would take Miami's defense, look for a better matchup. There's going to be somebody out there, like I said, you can look for Carolina. Carolina's defense is probably out there. They're going up against Drew Lock and the Broncos. So if you need to pivot away from Miami, go pick you up either the Colts if they're still out there. You can pick you up Carolina if they're still out there. Chicago might even still be out there. So Chicago, they have a decent defense. But I think if you're going to pivot to anybody, pivot to Carolina and take your shot with Drew Lock, all right? And as I say, Chicago gets Houston. If you're riding Chicago, if you have a better option to pivot to, it's the same thing like with Miami. They're playing Houston. Houston can put up a ton of points. And I know that Deshaun Watson is prone to turnovers, but like I said, I like to pivot to somebody else. Games to pay attention to that are kind of bounce back games. Chargers versus Atlanta. Look, Chargers just got embarrassed 45-0 to the Pats. So we're about to see what my boy Justin Herbert is made of, see how he reacts to this, if he's going to come back guns blazing and light up the Atlanta defense, which is pretty much a gimme defense. Talking about gimme defenses, Seattle versus the Jets. If you've got Seattle's defense, go ahead, plug them in, have fun. It's the Jets, guys. Now, the absolute trash game that you can probably start every offensive player on both sides of the ball, Cincinnati versus Dallas. This is the 30th ranked Bengals defense against the 31st ranked Dallas defense. There might be some points here. Okay. So think about that, guys. Remember, you're playing fantasy football, but you need to factor in some reality to it. I'm hoping this helped. If you're in the playoffs, good luck. Keep driving, keep pushing. You're going to get there. If you need some help, tune in down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share. Make sure you get the notifications to know when I put up new content. And I will see you guys next time on Fantasy Football Academy 2020.